Hello, and welcome to a new video. I want to talk about people's time a little bit today, and specifically what happened in the past year as Tresor One got more traction and people reached out, investors, angel investors, other founders, people that are excited, people that want to work with me or the team, users, of course. There were many people that wanted to, pick my brain or have a coffee chat or something like this. And I refused most of the time. And sometimes I was even a little bit offended, let's say, or at least like I didn't had a good feeling when I read this. I felt like, kind of disrespected regarding the use of my time and so on, simply because I was very, very, very busy, still am. But I always wondered why that is. Why was I feeling so bad about it? Or, if I say no, then of course other people, the other person that asked for the time, feel offended. And in general, I feel very lucky that so many people reached out, right? It's a great thing. I would love to meet more people that have, the same mindset, that work on stuff, that make things happen and so on. So in general, that's a very, very good thing. But it still felt, sometimes like not a good thing. And I was wondering why. And I found a really nice article from Paul Graham. I will link it below. And he basically wrote that you have two types of schedules. You have the manager schedule and you have the maker schedule. And I remember in my previous job, I was definitely on a manager schedule. Like before I started Tresor One and so on, you basically divide your day into hour blocks or half-hour blocks, and you like pass them out for meeting time, for meetings or coffee or whatever. You can, meet a lot of people. You can casually talk to someone. You can basically use these time slots, even though the risk or the return on investment regarding that time could be very low, but you can invest that risk because it's just like half an hour that you spend on a coffee, for example. If nothing comes out of it, fine. You wasted half an hour, that's fine. You have the next half an hour for another person, and that might end up much better. So yeah, that's the manager schedule. And I now know, so Paul Graham was able to frame this in words that like I just couldn't name it like that or describe it like that, but it completely fits how I feel, how I felt, and how I still feel, that I'm now on a maker schedule. And a maker schedule is basically what programmers, writers, musicians, etc. So everyone that does things that go into a state of flow, in a like you have to concentrate, your head is very deep in there, and that has to happen like for 4 hours straight, right? So a maker schedule is like in a day is divided in first half of the day and second half of the day. So afternoon and before noon, morning. And one meeting will destroy half of the day. So if, for example, I want to program on something and I have one meeting before lunch or one meeting after lunch, that whole time is gone. And not only that, a maker normally has not a lot of things in their calendar. So if there is one meeting on the day, even if it's like at 5 p.m., they have to think about that. They have to think that this meeting will come, and the closer it gets, the more like stress there is to get out of the current head castle that they have built in whatever they are doing. So it really interrupts a workday or half a workday and what a maker is doing. And more importantly, or the thing why it's so uncomfortable then to have one of these meetings is that the cost associated to it is so much higher, and the risk for a bad return on investment is also very high. Now I know you cannot like think of every meeting as a return on investment, of course. It depends on who you meet. But if people reach out in a business sense, then yes, it is. And especially if you get like 10 messages a day, like who do you speak with? How do you know? And so I think that is exactly why I felt sometimes, bad about when people reach out, and I'm like, if it's just expected that I have the time, or that I can spend half an hour or an hour for that, but the associated cost is not the half an hour that I waste or the hour that I waste. It's the whole half day or even the day of productive work because of that. And I found that very, very interesting. I really recommend the article. Again, the link is in the description. And it framed that really well. And it also says like, okay, what choices do you have if you are on a maker schedule? What choices do you have if someone reaches out and wants to pick your brain? Have a coffee chat for half an hour. You can either offend them by saying no, or you can accept it and pay the price. And I said no like 99% of the time. I know I offended some people. I try to, say it as nice as possible. Like I try to, convey that I would love to meet, but it's just I have too much to do and too much to think about and so on. Like I just can't do all the meetings, all the get-togethers. But Paul Graham described then a third way, that when you know that there are these like maker schedule and manager schedule, you can actively talk about that, maybe even link to the article and say, look, I know you are on the manager schedule, I'm on this one. Please give me, for example, more context so I know that it's worth it, that I know that I will not be productive today or for half the day in order to take that meeting. And I know how that sounds. It sounds like, well, it's just one meeting, but it's not. It's seriously, it is like this. I can feel it every time where I have one meeting scheduled that I will not be productive for like the 2 hours before and the 2 hours after that, because I cannot dig into it with my head into the very complex scenarios, in this case for programming, in my case. But of course, it's the same for a writer or any creative profession, and so on. And what I think I can do, or anyone can do, when you reach out to someone and or you can think about, okay, maybe they are on this maker schedule, they do not have this 1 hour blocks or half an hour blocks, and you just grab one of them, is show the respect for that. So what I'm trying to do now, and what I hope other people will do when reach out to each other or to me, is give a lot more context. And this, I looked back at it, and I looked at the people that wrote me where I actually did meet with them. And it was always the same approach they took. They were very respectful of my time. They said, look, I know you have a lot to do. I would love to, get to know you or have a chat with you. I think we have the same mindset. Then they introduced themselves and they wrote me up front what they want to talk about. I think I can be of help with Tresor One in that area. Or I would like, I'm starting my own business. I would like your advice or something like this. So I know what it's about beforehand. And if it's, something where I can't help or I think it's irrelevant, then we don't have to waste an hour, and they don't have to waste an hour either. And I can just write, look, I made a YouTube video about that. You can read that. Or, hey, I'm not interested in this and that. So it's fine. So the basic concept of like introducing yourself, and explaining what you want and so on. This is already enough, basically. And then maybe scheduling the thing early in the morning or very late in the evening, so the rest of the day can be, blocked for like this focused work and things like this. So I think being respectful and mindful about that people are on a different schedule is already like, goes a long way in making this kind of stuff happen. So I just discussed this with a friend after reading the article, and I thought it's quite interesting. So I guess when we all start to think about this and being mindful about this, it gets much easier to get along on different schedules. That was it. Just a small short rant after I kind of had this awakening, at least in my head. Hopefully it was useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.